Welcome to Edmund's Career Secrets channel, expert interview series, your ultimate guide to climbing the career ladder. I'm your host, Professor Edmund. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Are you on the quest for financial freedom and a rewarding career? Do you want to make a lot of money? Do you envision yourself in a role that offers growth and personal development? Craft a resume that beats the ATS screening and secures the interview. But don't stop there. Conquer the interview room with confidence. In today's must-watch episode, we're thrilled to present exclusive recruiter insights from one of the industry's finest. Get ready to unlock the secrets of acing interviews and propelling your career forward with our guest, Louis Bessette. Discover interview success tips that will set you apart from the competition. Learn job interview techniques straight from a top recruiter who knows exactly what makes a candidate stand out. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, our career advancement strategies are tailored to help you make the next big leap. With professional interview insight, you walk into any interview with confidence. Today, you'll learn how to ace your interview with poise and precision. From crafting the perfect responses to making a lasting impression, our top recruiter advice is your ticket to success. Welcome, Louis.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Could you please briefly introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm a headhunter. I've been in this business since March 2010. Sometimes people call them executive recruiters, what have you. We help our clients find talent. So at the core of the business that we do, our clients give us some mandates, looking for specific talent, key performance indicators they want us to measure. We present them. We're contingent on success. There's other kinds of recruiters as well, being executive recruiters that are retained. Our business is contingent on success, which means we only monetize our relationship with our clients if we present them people that they wanted to hire. So services that we provide to candidates are free. That's my introduction.
Excellent. So how many resumes have you read and how many interviews have you conducted over the years?
Yeah. We're going to be in the thousands. So being 14 years in this business, looking at resumes, at LinkedIn profiles, we're at 2,000-3,000. On average, just let's make sure we're clear, on average, people will look at resumes or LinkedIn profiles for about 6 seconds. And within that 6 seconds, you can sort of give yourself an idea if it's worth investing time or having a conversation with candidates moving forward. Excuse me, the second part of your question was again, Edmund, sorry?
How many interviews have you done over the
years? So yeah, so I don't call them interviews. So it's interesting, I didn't click on that. I call them assessments because interviews are usually, there's a power struggle. Whereas there's a person in a position of power, which is interviewing a candidate, whereas headhunters like us, recruiters, we assess. We're data providers. So I don't interview people. I try to grab from their past the key indicators associated to what my client asked us to measure. I think we're going to be talking about the specific indicators. There's really 4: is what do you do? How'd you do it? How much have you made? And why are you on the phone with me? Those are the 4 core indicators of what people want measured.
Excellent. So in the assessments, how long does it take you to determine if a candidate qualifies for the position and how?
Yeah. So a first conversation, I do a 2-prong approach. Not every firm does this. For me, I enjoy so much talking to new people that the first ever conversation I have with people, I take 30 minutes to make sure I understand what they want to do. So it's an aspiration conversation. I have 9 to 10 questions focused on how they want to shape their future. What individual contributor or manager? What kind of industry do you want to work for? What kind of role do you want in that industry? Do you want to be customer facing or not? So the first ever call is to keep the candidate in the position of power. So first conversation is let's keep the candidate in a position of power of understanding what they want to do. And that conversation I'll have with anyone, I'm not even judging their skill set, is can we trust each other? Your career is something that's very important to you. So let's try to understand what you want to do. Then on top of that, the second part of that first ever conversation is, do you understand what you're walking into? Here's what I know about my client, understanding that in this process, I'm a bit of a cheerleader. I don't make decisions. I'll tell you how great this company is. I'll tell you how it matches up to the things you want to do. And this approach is, instead of selling you an opportunity, I'm trying to you to buy into it. Buying meaning show character that this is something that you really want. So instead of trying to tell you how great this company is based on the things you told me you want to do, here's how it lines up with your aspirations. Then if you buy into the opportunity, and by buying, I'm not selling anything. I just want your time. And we understand there's a principle out there is time is more important than money. You can make as much money as you want, but you can't make time. So as a candidate, if you give me time, well, you just gave me something that's very important to you. Then if you say, okay, Louis, I understand the organization, I understand what the role is, and I feel that I would do a good job based on, I'll be sharing with you the KPIs, the key performance indicators my client want me to measure. And if you're comfortable in saying, Louis, this is an opportunity to, one, I want to invest time on, two. So the first exercise is, let me tell you all the reasons why I think my client would want to hire you. And the candidate might say, well, that's an aggressive position. No, this is a help me help you exercise. It's in my best interest to present you. If I see things in the resume that are not worth present, I'll tell you, there might be things that you'd want to change. And that perception exercise usually is a positive one. I say, hey, things look good, career consistency, hardworking intelligence, everything looks pretty sharp here. So let's move on to assessing the candidacy. Now, assessing the candidacy, the 4 indicators that we talked about earlier. What do you do? How'd you do it? How much have you made? Why are you on the phone? What do you do? Dumb it down. And recruiters are good at recruiting, but their clients could be financial services, oil and gas, CPG, manufacturing, telco, retail, technology, government. There could be diverse multitude, an infinity amount of potential roles. And I like sports. So for me to be able to read the Montreal Gazette, which was an English newspaper, I had to teach myself how to read the newspaper. And newspapers were not meant for intellectuals. They were meant for 13-year-old kids to understand. So now it's your turn to explain to me as a 13-year-old what you do. We can get into the specifics of the binary questions we can ask if you ever want to go into the details of each question. But let's remember, it's only 10%. Now, 60% of the evaluation, which is where it's the make or break. You're already, I'd say, 10 minutes, maybe even less, 5 or 6 minutes into the call. I understand what a candidate wants to do. They got to score at least 8 out of 10. Not that I'm keeping score, but what you do should be in line with what the client is going to make you do. It's got to sort of match. The success stories are 60 points. Do you have a project? If you're a salesperson, an account. If you're something you worked on, and I usually say give it a code name, something that would trigger your mind in going towards a story that makes sense, that is relevant and recent. Let's not go back too much far back in time, because that won't make it recent. Make it relevant based on the indicators that we shared the client wants to measure. So let's give it a code name. They give it a code name, whatever. It could be anything. It could be the way I built a table because my client wanted to see table builders. Great. What year did it happen? Right now we're April 12th, 2024. It'd be good to have a story that's about within a year's time frame. Business challenge. So this is the pain funnel. What were the issues that happened during that story? Give me all the problems. Don't tell me what you did yet to fix the issues. Give me the list of all the issues. Now, this is called a pain funnel. It's where you make your audience salivate. So I'm giving you a trick on how to structure your stories now. But winners, sometimes they always say to you, here's the way I fixed the problem, but they don't even explain what the problem was. So I really like to compartmentalize, because when I'm in front of my client trying to share that story with them based on what you just told me, I'm going to be using a structured way to share that story. So the project name, business check, give me the pains. It could be, let's go back to that table building. You didn't have the products, there was supply issues, the people who are supposed to help you didn't show up, you ran out of material, you ran out of time, whatever the issues usually are associated to money, time, anything that can impact productivity. Think about what you do and the issues that were upon you, then attack the problems. And there's 4 things. I remember assessing an executive person in services. He says, Louis, there's only 3 things I can do. I can assess the problem, which is understand the root cause of that problem. I can build strategies, which is the options on how to attack the problem and get a status, a quorum on making sure I'm attacking them properly. And then I can execute. I can roll up my sleeves and get it done. So sometimes candidates do all three. Here's the root cause of what I found where the problem was, with all the business case and the return on investments of each potential options, and then get quorum and attack. And this is what you want to hear in the stories. And hopefully this serves as a tip. If building a story, you want your story to be credible, number one, have as much pain as possible, as many issues as possible. If it's internal, what kind of business were you helping? And then the results. Based on the pains, the mandate that you received initially, what's the outcome? We saved money, we made money, we increased productivity, we made the world a better place, whatever the pains were. And so now I helped you structure one story, and people say, yeah, now as many as you can. Build your own story matrix, which
That's
these
great.
specific, that's if this is where it's make or break. Because if 10% what do you do, 60% what you do, how did you do it? You'll know here. I could sort of tell within, then we're at the 15 to 16 minute. If we can't score 55 points out of 60 on making sure your stories are relevant, it's never going to work. I always say to my candidates, you got to score about 90. Not that I'm keeping track of putting a score next to each of these indicators, but score high.
So how do you narrow it down to a short list to present to the client?
Okay, good. So because we're contingent on success, I'm not successful if my client doesn't make a decision. And there's an expression, time kills deals. So for me, my approach is a negative approach. If my client says, measure these things, if we had a specific indicator, if it's a sales or whatever, measure 1, 2, 3, usually there's 4 to 5 things they want measured. I'm upfront with the candidate, letting them know I'm going to be measuring this. If I can't find a reason not to present the candidate, I present the candidate. My approach is to assess you critically, and I would be upfront with the candidates. I'll find every reason not to present you. If I can't find a reason not to present you, I will present you. But guess what my critical feedback loop will be on the other side is when I come to my client, let's say my client was Edmund, say, Edmund, what don't you like about this candidate? I won't come in positive. You told me what to measure, so I'm presenting you someone based on what you told me to measure. I'm not going to tell you you should be liking this person because you already told me to present the things, but then new indicators might come in. Say, which is, it could be as stupid as, I'm trying to dumb things down here, right, Edmund? You told me to measure 4 things, and then you say, hey, this is missing. I said, I didn't know I was supposed to measure that. A good example, I was doing construction workers, and I presented a gentleman that was taking care of quality, on-time delivery, safety, and risk assessments. I present the candidate. We're supposed to be learning new things. Well, guess what? On the next presentation, they'll had the 4 indicators, and here's the way they succeeded in doing finishes. Of course, I get a hire at that point. So I hope that answers that question associated to how do I know when or how to present, or the short list. Go ahead.
Let me ask you the question, and I want a very direct and crisp answer for this, maybe in 2 minutes.
Go.
If Louis is applying or meeting with Louis, with the recruiter, the candidate, trying to impress you to get the interview, how would you do it?
Okay. So
Now, as a candidate.
I get it, a candidate. Impressing, I'd rather remove myself, and I always say this to candidates, it doesn't matter your performance with me. It matters the performance with my client. I don't make decisions. We've talked about that even, I think, before the interview, Edmund. I don't decide if my client is going to hire you or not. What I would say is if you want to impress a decision maker, which would be a hiring manager, it's to show character, which are the 4 indicators that we sort of measure, but let's talk about them. Will, want, desire, self-awareness, accountability, integrity. Will, want, desire. It doesn't matter what company you're interviewing with. Your audience, the person working for that company, they always think it's the best company in the world. So during the interview process, make them feel that it's the best company in the world. It's also a utilization of empathy. I always say to my candidates, can you empathize with the person in front of you that has a problem of finding good people? It's a universal pain to find and to keep good talent. Why don't you start empathizing with the person that's in front of you? Finding you, candidate, is very hard. So show will, want, desire. I had a candidate challenge me on that once. He says, the more I show I want the job, the less they're going to potentially compensate me. I said, are you out of your mind? The more you show you want the job, the more you're going to get a better comp. The more they'll be excited about you wanting to join the company and make sure they don't lose you. They won't have to tell you about the culture because you're coming in already excited about wanting the job. So my
Okay, so
number
will and desire. What's number two again?
self-awareness. Can you walk in other people's shoes before you walk in your own? You're going to join an organization. There might be some people inside that organization that wanted your job. They didn't have the skill set to do your job, but you require their help for you to do your job. Can you walk in their shoes before you walk in your own? That's important for managers. You're going to inherit a team of 20 people. No one knows you, right? And you're coming in. You imagine there must be someone in that team that wanted your job, but of course they didn't have the skill set to. Can you walk in their shoes? On top of that, fast-growing organizations. Your peer might be your boss one day. Your boss might be your peer. How do you feel about that? Coming in, are you okay with that? Are you actually ready to groom and grow talent to potentially overshoot you? It's not a political game here. It's about productivity. How do you feel about coming in, performing, potentially helping other people, being better performance to potentially overshoot you? How do you feel about that? That's self-awareness. Are you coming in to want to do your job? Accountability is the third one. Have you ever screwed up? How did you own it? What did you learn from it? Have a story ready. It doesn't mean that they're going to ask you, but have it ready. So here's the way I screwed up. Here's how I owned it with my peers, my chain of command, my subordinates, and my customers. And here's what I learned from my mistakes. Have a story ready. This doesn't have to be I have a story ready if it was a bad one. So someone say to me, a candidate, everything I asked my candidate, I said, do you have one, Louis? I said, of course I have one. Here's the way I would structure my accountability story. And last but not least, potentially the most important one is integrity. Are you telling the truth? You can lie to me. I'm a broker. It doesn't matter what you do to me, but you can't lie to my client. They have specific techniques to pull the truth out of you. And I have specific techniques to coach you on how to tell the truth. You know what Warren Buffett said. Bring me people that work hard, bring me people with intelligence, and bring me people with integrity. But if they don't have integrity, I don't want them to work hard and be intelligent. They're going to screw up my business. So it's easy, right? This is simple stuff. Come in with integrity. The more you tell the truth, the more you're going to increase your probability of getting the deal. And sometimes I'm challenged, and this is also integrity wins is something I say out loud sometimes. Well, integrity wins. I'd rather tell you this than dig myself into a rat hole that I can't come out of. So those are the 80%. 80% of an interview process is based on character. 80% of the reasons why candidates are eliminated is either one of these four things. One, they didn't show they want a job. They weren't self-aware. They weren't accountable. They didn't tell the truth. Those are the reasons why 80% of the time people are eliminated. Go ahead.
Excellent. Excellent. What were the most impressive moves you've seen from candidates?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, so that's really good. You're in a competitive situation. And by the way, it's utilizing character to change the game. I have a client, he says, hey, Louis, your candidate is end of game. I was like, okay, he's tied with another candidate. So I'm like, okay. So then you approach the candidate, you say, what are you going to do to show that you want the job more? Well, this candidate picked up the phone, called one of his customers, it was a sales job, picked up one of his customers, says, would you be kind enough to reach out by LinkedIn to this hiring manager and not just so like exactly you can to decide to tell them that if you hire me, you're going to welcome my call. He got hired on this. I said, then I get my client calling me, say, Louis, listen to what this candidate did. So the thing of the differentiation is, can you find a way to change the rules? So a plan, for example, I had a candidate once, he says, Louis, your candidate is a finalist. My candidate, he knows he's a finalist against another candidate, which was not mine. He walks into the interview with a 30, 60, 90-day plan. Here's what I think I'm going to be doing. First 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So he sits down, goes through the interview. And at one point, the client says, anything else you'd like to share with us? He says, yeah, before I leave, I'd like to go over a plan of what I'm going to be doing when I join you. Put this in the when, not the if, but the when. Those are called putting seeds into your audience mindset. When I join you, here's everything I'm going to be doing. My client calls me back and says, did you know what your candidate did? I said, what did my candidate do? He says, he came in with a plan, Louis, he's on the payroll already. So how can I show more will, want, desire? It's going to be out of the character pieces. That's where we need to go to impress clients making decisions.
Excellent. I call that the extraordinary things that you do.
Bravo. And sometimes you can brainstorm with friends, right? It's not genius stuff. So I don't know what it is sometimes. You talk to friends, say, what do you think I could be doing? Brainstorm. Someone can bring you an angle that you didn't think of.
Excellent. Do you see something in common among all the successful business people that you've interviewed?
Mm. Uh, I really like people that can dumb things down, that come in with empathy, with confidence. I say this to candidates. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance. No one buys arrogance. No one wants to be around arrogant people, but people buy confidence. They want to be around people, even if they don't know everything, they will put confidence inside of you to say, I'm the kind of person that will be able to move ourselves forward. So I think bringing confidence to the table, not arrogance. I find confidence and being able to dumb things down is always number one. Don't make things too complicated. You're going to lose everybody during the process.
Confidence. Are there any common traits among all the successful candidates?
Mm.
You see something in common.
Okay, let's talk about the simple things. Career consistency. They're not jumpers. It's rare. Well, the more you're consistent in your career choices, the harder it will be to potentially entice you to make a change. So career consistency, hard work always pays off. The more sometimes people say, I have candidates in the process with me. They say, you know what, Louis, I'm going to stick. I'm not going to make the move. I'm going to stay with where I am. I said, the more you stick, the more you stay, the more successful you're going to be. Hard work, consistency always pays off. It's not about pulling you out of a hole and putting you in another hole. It's not the right thing. The right thing is, if you're consistent in your career choice, you're strategic in the way you make your thought process of your career. Were you able to reinvent yourself within the walls of the organization we're currently with? Were you consistent? Were you there for a while to reinvent yourself? Someone might throw you I call them softballs. Yeah, you've been with the same company for 10 years. Don't you think that's too long? It's such a softball. What they're trying to do is see how you're going to deal with objection. The softball, it's easy. It's with great work, performance, sacrifice that I reinvented myself. It's not based on internal politics. It's based on my performance that I did very well. And on top of that, person that just asked me that question, are you looking for jumpers? And they say, no, we're not looking for jumpers. They were just checking how you deal in a high risk, high reward situation, which is an interview on how you deal with objections. I call that softball objections. Just knock them right out of the park. Consistency always pays off.
Excellent. Do you have anything you want to add regarding interviews for a candidate or for anybody?
Yeah. Okay. So let's go through a character piece of interview. Next step, critical feedback, content, time preclusions, and did you prepare yourself properly? So next step. 99% of candidates that want a job will ask for a next step. It's like you got to show you want a next step. You can't just say the interview's over and leave. Everybody knows that. So I always say 99% of my candidates ask for a next step. The 1% that didn't want the job, won't get the job. So don't forget to ask for next step. This is where, and I don't know if, never forget to ask for critical feedback. Okay, you're at the end of the interview, you potentially even understand what the next step is. These words, I even say, write them down. These words have to come out of your mouth. Is there anything I could have done better to represent my candidacy today? I'll say it slowly to make sure your audience makes sure either to write it down. Is there anything I could have done better to represent my candidacy today? It does two things. You're not on the payroll yet. You're asking to become better. We talked about the seeding process before. When we say, when I join your team, this person is not even on the payroll yet and is asking to become better. It puts a seed in the hiring manager's mind that you're already on the team. Did you just ask me what you could have done better? Let's just put you on the payroll. You're already on the team. The second thing that it does, if there are objections on your candidacy, the last thing you want to do is leave that meeting without addressing the issues they have on your candidacy. They might say, yeah, we got an issue with your candidacy. Now, this could be on a second call, how to address objections on my candidacy. This is another sort of subset of what we can, okay, someone says to you, they don't like this or that or whatever. How do I attack the problem? One way or another, just the fact that you asked the question, you showed tremendous will, want, desire, self-awareness, accountability, and integrity. It's like the question that puts everything into character into play. Don't ever forget to ask for critical feedback. I always say to my candidates, if you don't ask one, I won't forgive you. Okay, it's really important. Sometimes they don't. I say, aren't you owed that? You just spent a lot of time. Wouldn't you want to know what you could have done better? The last thing you want to do is a broken telephone of feedback from a headhunter. You'd rather have it from the people that can actually make the decisions. All right?
That's tremendous.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I think what we need to do is to do another another session.
Perfect.
This has been so invaluable. Bonus question.
Go.
What are the hottest industries,
Yeah.
hottest roles?
We're hearing in the market. So artificial intelligence, data scientists, Pythons, TypeScript, React. I don't even know what these things mean, but I know my clients are buying into it. These are programming languages. Kubernetes is still in play. Cloud infrastructure, that's on the infrastructure side. Front end, back end. Oh, customer-facing talent with character. Can I trust these people in front of customers? There's always going to be a market for how to measure someone I can trust in front of my customers. Very important. Data scientists, artificial intelligence. Yeah.
So technical people
customer facing.
plus customer facing, which could be solution engineers,
Pre-sales.
sales.
Yes. Can I trust this person to know when to talk, how to take a whiteboard without losing the business aspects of what we're trying to accomplish in front of a customer?
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So that's right. If you want to talk money, those are high bases, maybe not as much variable, but high bases. They're ready to. It's so difficult to find someone that's technical and at the same time business savvy to understand pain funnels. People don't buy things because they're interested. They buy things because they're in pain. They want to find a solution associated to removing a business pain, not because of interest. So then you're at a round table and a salesperson is assisted by a technical salesperson, and the salesperson looks at the technical person and says, can you take the whiteboard and give your ideas? And without losing the audience, which is usually a business audience, that skill set, immaculate. Like that is a hard skill set to find. And then put them in any kind of field. So you want to go cybersecurity, still very hot. Artificial intelligence, very hot. Integration, automation, really strong. Then we can go into, and now I'm talking IT, but if you say, Louis, what about non-IT? Construction is actually pretty big right now. There's a lot of construction still happening, site superintendents, customer-facing project managers, big projects, $20, $50 million deals. It's hard to find good people that we can trust on a site to deliver on these projects. Trying to think of other things that are happening. Yeah, sometimes so financial services, I give this example to people. Wherever you live, who knows where people are going to listen to this video? Think global, act local. Think global, have a global mindset in the way the markets are working, but act local. What's your local marketplace? So we're in Toronto. So if people say, Louis, what do you think of Toronto? Well, Toronto is financial services. Toronto is manufacturing. Toronto is retail. On the enterprise, it's CPG. Then it's local governments. So that's Toronto. If you say, I live in Chicago, well, there's another manufacturing finance. I live in New York. I live in Los Angeles. Well, that's entertainment. That's communication. I live in Denver. That's telco. That's, so there's wherever you live, find what's your market. Think in a global mindset, but try to see if you can monetize your skill set in the local environment you are. There you go.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. This has been so inspiring. This is a must-watch video.
Perfect.
Until next time, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'm Professor Edmund, and these are your career secrets.